Once upon a time, there was a kind and gentle girl named Cinderella. She lived with her wicked stepmother and two stepsisters, who were jealous of her beauty and kind heart. They made her do all the household chores while they dressed in fine clothes and attended parties. Despite their cruelty, Cinderella remained sweet and hopeful. One day, an invitation arrived at their home. It was for a grand ball at the royal palace, where the prince would choose a bride. The stepsisters were thrilled and spent days preparing their gowns and accessories. Cinderella longed to go too, but her stepmother cruelly told her she couldn't attend. "You have no suitable dress, and you belong here cleaning," she said. On the night of the ball, Cinderella helped her stepsisters get ready, brushing their hair and adjusting their dresses. When they left for the palace, Cinderella was left alone, feeling sad and heartbroken. She sat by the fireplace, wishing she could go to the ball and dance with the prince. As Cinderella wept, a bright light appeared in the room. It was her fairy godmother. "Don't cry, my dear," she said. "You shall go to the ball." With a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother transformed Cinderella's ragged clothes into a beautiful gown, complete with glass slippers that sparkled like stars. She even turned a pumpkin into a magnificent carriage and mice and horses to pull it. Cinderella was amazed and thanked her fairy godmother, who reminded her, "Remember, the magic will only last until midnight. You must leave the ball before the clock strikes 12." Cinderella promised and then climbed into the carriage. When she arrived at the palace, everyone was captivated by her beauty, including the prince. The prince asked Cinderella to dance, and they waltzed across the ballroom floor. They talked and laughed, and Cinderella felt like she was in a dream. She had never been so happy. The prince couldn't take his eyes off her, and the whole night, he danced with no one else. As the night went on, Cinderella lost track of time. Suddenly, she heard the clock begin to strike midnight. Panicked, she remembered the fairy godmother's warning. Without a word, she fled from the palace, running down the steps as fast as she could. In her haste, she lost one of her glass slippers, but she didn't stop to pick it up. The next day, the prince was determined to find the mysterious girl he had danced with. He searched the entire kingdom, taking the glass slipper with him. He announced that he would marry the girl whose foot fit the slipper. Many tried, including Cinderella's stepsisters, but the slipper was either too big or too small for them. Finally, the prince arrived at Cinderella's home. The stepsisters eagerly tried on the slipper, but it didn't fit. Then, Cinderella timidly stepped forward and asked to try. The stepsisters mocked her, but the prince insisted. To everyone's amazement, the slipper fit Cinderella perfectly. She then took out the other slipper from her pocket, revealing her true identity. The prince was overjoyed and asked Cinderella to be his bride. Her stepmother and stepsisters were shocked and begged for forgiveness. But Cinderella, with her kind heart, forgave them. She married the prince and moved to the palace, where they lived happily ever after. And so, Cinderella's kindness and patience were rewarded, and her dreams came true.